All right, here we are back again. This is Freak the Mighty Chapter 10. We're title with this chapter is going to be Rats or Worse. And since this is a very long chapter, we're skipping character interviews and going straight for the reading. One thing that happened over the summer, I grew more. Grim takes a look at me and one day and he goes, "All that walking you do must be stretching out your legs and carrying poor Kevin around. That seems to be putting real muscle on you." Well, he's not that heavy. And anyhow, it's not fair everyone calls him poor Kevin just because he didn't grow. Grim gives him this long, sorrowful look, and then he clears his throat and says, "You're quite right. He is a rather remarkable boy." Well, he's memorized almost the whole dictionary. You can ask him anything he knows from what it means. "You don't say," Grim says. And he has this smug look like maybe Freak is lying and a total goon like me would never get it. And I want to tell him he's wrong about Freak in the dictionary, but instead I just shut my face and go to the down under. Grim, he's okay sometimes, like when Tony D chases into the pond, but most of the time he thinks he knows everything, which he doesn't. And if you don't believe me, look under Grim in the dictionary and it sure doesn't say a smart grown-up. No way. So, I'm hanging out in the down under listening to one of my thrash tapes and my fake Walkman I got last Christmas, when Freak pops up on the side of my bed. Because of the headphones and the volume being pumped up to a mega decibel, I don't even hear him come in. Suddenly he's just there and like, whoa, I bet I jumped up about a foot. Freak rolls his eyes and goes, music, how it calms a savage beast. "How'd you get here?" "Would you believe teleportation?" "No? Then I came down through the bulkhead door just like always. And like always, I have a quest in mind." Right away I go, my feet hurt. "We don't have to leave the neighborhood." "Well, cool. What kind of a quest is this?" Freak grins. "Aha! A treasure hunt, except we don't really have to hunt, because I already know where the treasure is." "Where?" "Underground," he says. "Specifically, in the sewer." "Yeah, right," I say, and I sit back down on the bed. Freak is looking at me sideways, and I can tell he's not telling me everything, which he almost never does, not all at once. "Truth," he says. "There is treasure hidden in the storm drain. This has been confirmed by visual observation." "Treasure in a storm drain? You mean like gold and diamonds and stuff?" "Possibly," he says, acting mysterious. "Anything's possible." "Well, the deal is we have to wait until night so no one can see us messing around with the storm drain." "Not just night," Freak says. We must do it at exactly 3 in the morning. "Optimum darkness occurs at 0300 hours," he says, looking at the new watch his mom gave him, the kind that tells you what time it is in Tokyo, just in case you're wondering. "We must dress in black and cover our faces with soot." For the next couple hours, we try to find soot, but it turns out you need a fireplace for soot, or at least a chimney, so Freak finally decides that my idea of using regular dirt will have to do. "I've got black dungarees," I say, "but no black shirts. Can I just wear a dirty shirt?" Freak makes a face and says, "What a disgusting idea. Don't worry about the shirt, I'll get you one. Can you manage black socks?" You ever notice how long it takes for things to happen when you know they're supposed to happen? My fake Walkman has a built-in alarm, and I set it for 2 in the morning and wear the headphones to bed, but before you can wake up, you have to fall asleep. And I never do fall asleep, because I keep waiting for the stupid alarm to go off, which I know is typical butthead behavior. I'm lying awake in the dark on a hot summer night, and I'm thinking, treasure in the sewer. What kind of quest is this, huh? Freak is completely making this up, or what? Meanwhile, there's this cricket making this creaky cricket noise that's normally okay, except when you're trying to fall asleep, it's not okay, and you want a big can of Raid to send it to Disney World or Insect Heaven or wherever the dead crickets go. Question: how come Freak knows about this stuff in the storm drain? Question: how come we had to put dirt on our faces? Question: how come 3 in the morning? Question: how long do crickets live? Finally, I give up on the first 3 and work on the cricket problem. But the little critter is pretty clever. It stops cricketing whenever I get too close. I never do find it to squash it with my shoe, which I swear I'm ready to do even if crickets are supposed to be harmless. And then after almost forever, it gets to be 2:30, and I figure that's close enough. I'll go up and wait under Freak's window like I promised. There's no moon, the sky is dark and empty, and then the backyards are so lonesome it feels creepy and exciting. Truth is, I've never been out alone this time of night. I only fall down a couple of times, which isn't bad considering how hard it is to see. When I get into Freak's bedroom window, he's waiting for me. "You sound like a car wreck," he says. "Here, you better put on this shirt so you don't glow in the dark." Out of the window, he hands me this silly-feeling shirt. "Hey, wait a minute, this is your mom's blouse." "It's black," Freak says. "That's what counts, the camouflage factor." "Forget it," I say, and I give him back the Fairgwin's blouse. Freak sighs. "Okay," he says, "roll around the ground and darken yourself." That's easy, and better than wearing some dumb blouse. "What about you?" I ask. And then when I'm covered with enough dirt, enough where I want to sneeze. Freak goes, "Beware the Force, Earthling!" And he stands up in the window, and I can see he's got a Darth Vader costume on, except he's not wearing the mask part. He opens the window all the way, and I lift him out and put him on my shoulders. He goes, "Pledge to me your fealty," and I say, "Huh?" And he says, "Never mind, there's no time to look up fealty. Just promise you'll do what I say." I promise. "Go to the end of the block," he orders. "Attempt to conceal us in the shadows." That's easy because the street is one big shadow. It's so dark I can hardly see my feet. Or maybe I got some dirt in my eyes. But the point is, no one sees us because there's no one to see us. You'd never know anybody lived here, let alone a block full of people. It's like we're on an empty planet or something. "Was the real Darth Vader as tall as this?" Freaks asks, while he's riding up high on my shoulders. "I thought that was just a movie." "You know what I mean." "What's that?" "That is a cat, and it runs out from under my feet out of nowhere so suddenly that my heart goes wham." "Was it a black cat?" Freak wants to know. "Too dark to tell," I say. "Are we almost there?" Finally, I figure out it's hard to see because the Darth Vader cape is hanging in my eyes. But by the time we're at the end of the block and the storm drain is right there by the curb. "See if you can pull it open," Freak says. He's standing with his arms folded and his expression on his face. Well, he really does look like a pint-sized Darth Vader. I hook my hands in the storm drain grate and give it a heave, but nothing happens. "Hey, I can't budge it." "Try again," he says with his arms folded like he's Lord of the Universe. I try again, and it's like this grate is super glued or something. There's no way I can pull it up. Freak is tugging at my leg, and he goes, "Option 2 is now in effect." He reaches inside his little cape. Out comes a flashlight, one of those small kinds, sort of like a cigarette lighter, and also a spool of kite string. "I devised a special retrieval device," Freak says. "Looks like a bent paper clip on a string," I say. And Freak tells me to shut up and follow orders. "You hold the string," he says. And when he gets down on his knees and shines the little flashlight through the grate, "Can you see it?" he asks. "Can you?" I look, but it's hard to see anything. And it smells like something died in the storm drain, which, come to think of it probably did. Rats or worse. "Down there," Freak says. "The beam is hitting it right now." That's just a piece of junk." "Wrong," Freak says real fierce. "It looks like a piece of junk. It may very well contain fabulous wealth. Drop the line down and see if you can hook it." I'm thinking, boy, what a butthead. Rolling in the dirt for this little Darth Vader so he can play pretend games in the middle of the night, but I do what he asks. I drop the hook down, and much to my surprise, it actually hooks onto something, and when I pull up on the kite string, I can see what it is. "A purse?" I say. "Looks like a grotty old purse." "Careful," Freak says. "Pull it up the grate so I can grab the strap." I bring it up an inch at a time, and Freak, manages to get this small hand down through the grate and grab hold of the soggy old purse, and then he almost drops it. I yank up on the kite string, and we both manage to squeeze the slimy purse up through the bars. Whew! Mission accomplished, Freak says. The old purse is torn and wet, and I don't want to touch it unless I have gloves on. Gross, I say. Somebody must have flushed this down a toilet. No way, Freak says. I saw one of Tony D's punks stuff it down there yesterday morning. Yeah? They must have stole it. No doubt, Freak says. And he opens the clasp and points his light inside the purse. By now I know there isn't going to be any treasure, but it's still a pretty cool thing. Recovering stuff that Blades gang ripped off from some little old lady or whatever. A wallet, Freak says, and he flips open this cheap-looking wallet, the kind that's made to hold credit cards. There's no money inside, but there's a plastic ID card, and on the plastic card is a lady's name. Loretta Lee, Freak says. I'll bet you anything she's a damsel in distress. Which, as it turns out, is almost true. The real deal is that she's a damsel who causes distress, which we find out the very next day.